and welcome to another episode of Anfield Watch. Today, we're going to be talking about Stefan Bajcetic, who is a really exciting talent and who, has been doing pretty well at Liverpool for some time now. To do that, though, I'm joined by Diego Otero, who's a Spanish journalist. Diego, welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I'm going to be honest with Stefan Bajcetic. I've been watching him for a long time. I remember going to the academy to watch him in an FA Youth Cup game, and he was playing as a centre back, and he just arrived at Liverpool, and I think he was coming up against Burnley. And I don't know, Diego, if you know what Burnley is like in English football, but they are like the big physical guys, and that's what the academy team was like as well. And obviously, Bajcetic is not. He just came from Spain. He wasn't that physical guy, but even in that game, playing centre back, coming up against those physical players, he really stood out to me with his passing ability, his sort of vision, the way he read the game. And I was like, wow, this is a special talent like Liverpool have on their hands. And then obviously he broke into the first team and he started to play really well. Didn't surprise me. But then injury sort of played a role in sort of his development over the last couple of years. I think that's fair to say. Last season, he didn't play a lot because of his sort of growing problems that he experienced, which other players have experienced as well. For example, Steven Gerrard around a similar time in his career. But then he went on loan to Red Bull Salzburg. Didn't go probably as planned. And now he's at Las Palmas. And I wanted to ask you, what are the perceptions of him in Spain?
Well, first of all, I have the luck that I know Stefan because my support team in Spain is Celta de Vigo. He came from Celta de Vigo to Liverpool, so I know about him when he's in the youth team of Celta, and his spell on in Spain, Las Palmas, I think is pretty good because obviously his start is so difficult because you are playing in a team like Las Palmas that it's fighting for the relegation in Spain that is so tough now including for a young player. But the first games he started to play as a center back in line for three center backs in the right side. I think that they don't work so good at the team, and they have some problems of injuries, so special players that they have, and important players that they are not playing. But they are recovering some players, and Stefan moved to the center midfielder with Diego Otero, the player that both Chelsea months ago. And I think that his last three games are pretty good. I remember the match against Getafe was pretty nice. Obviously, they have one more playing because Getafe was had a red card. And the last one that is against Athletic Club, obviously they lost, but they lost in San Mamés. That is probably one of the toughest stadiums in Spain. Is like a scene, not like Anfield, but it's like a scene, no, in terms of Spain, it's so tough playing and so difficult, so hard playing in San Mamés. And he made an incredible match. Obviously they lost, yeah, but he made an incredible match. He has this calm. He knows how to act with the pressure of Athletic comes to him. And I think that he's developed pretty well in these months because the months in Salzburg, I know that they are hard because he goes for because of Pep Lijnders, that is the second coach of Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool. But they fired him and they come a new training that don't believe in him, don't believe in his quality. I don't know why, but that's his problem. And now in Las Palmas, he started in the bench, but the last 4 or 5 games he's playing in the starting 11, and he's pretty nice at his level.
I remember watching him against Barcelona as well. That was not a few weeks ago. I think it was a couple of months ago now. Yeah. But he played really well in that game as well. I think he was probably Las Palmas' best player. And I think at the time, Barcelona won. But he kind of stood out in that game. And to me, it feels like he needed a little bit of time at Salzburg to sort of adjust to the injury problems, get himself back to match sharpness and match fitness, and he got that at Salzburg. Then he made the smart decision to move to Las Palmas. Again, he needed a bit of time to orientate himself and adjust, but right now it feels like he's coming back to the level that we saw him playing for Liverpool back in that 2022-23 season when he looked so promising and he looked like the next sort of exciting Spanish midfielder in the Premier League.
Yeah, obviously, I think, in my opinion, that the loan to Salzburg I think it's a mistake at that time. Obviously, they have Pep blinders did at that time, but I think it's better for a player like Stefan that pass a huge moment and then he has an injury that is. It seems that they're gonna be so much, but then he has like a year and a half without playing any single minute practically. And obviously, it's better playing 38 games in La Liga or in Serie A or including League One. If you say, well, in France, France, not League One in.
Yeah. I hope that
uh,
the listeners understood and the watchers
okay.
understood, but yeah.
Uh, is better than playing Salzburg because obviously, yeah, you play Champions League, but you play 8 games, and we saw like this game was 5-0 in the Bernabeu, 4-0 against every single team. It was a disaster, that team, and it's better playing 38 matches at the highest level as a professional in one of the top 5 big leagues than not playing in only Champions League for 8 matches and you play in the Austrian league. But they have the decision to go to Las Palmas. That is pretty nice because they have a type of game that it works with the Stefan. No, it's a team that have a lot of players like play in the same language than the Stefan. No, like for example Alberto Moleiro, Fabio Silva, that is loaned by Wolverhampton, and some kind of these players that love to play with the ball, not without the ball. And I think Stefan loves to play with the ball. He has, like I said before, this vision. He has this calm to be in a moments in the game that is so pressure for him. I remember this game for Barcelona. I think it's his third, fourth game for Las Palmas. And it's pretty nice because he has no problem to receive the ball with some player in his back. He can't turn. He had to move forward. He had to take the pass back to the player that he taking the pass. He has any problem. We saw when he had 18 years old. No, was when he played against Real Madrid in round 16 of Champions League. He played less like he was 30 years old. He has this calm. He has this quality. I think it's a pretty nice prospect for Liverpool, and I think he's going to come back to Liverpool someday. I don't know if it's going to be the next year. I think I have my opinion about this, but I think he has the potential to be a part of the first squad of Liverpool.
Now that you mentioned it, I have to ask you, based on his performances, and obviously right now at Liverpool, there's Ryan Gravenberch in his position and maybe Alexis McAllister. But, Liverpool did try to sign Martin Zubimendi last year. So there is a need for that type of midfielder, I think, still in the squad. So based on his performances, do you think he is ready to come back and, obviously not be a starter for Arne Slot, but maybe provide a little bit of a backup to Gravenberch or McAllister in that number 6 or number 8 role? And I think this is the other question for you, which is kind of like I'm not quite sure about, is what is his best position? Is he a 6? Is he a number 8? I can't really figure it out at the moment.
I think he's a 6, and in Liverpool will fit incredible because he has these players like Dario Sugo in Las Palmas in terms of Gravenberch, McAllister. Obviously, they are another kind of players, another level. So I think his best position is a 6. Playing with an 8 like Gravenberch, that is more like a box to box, very physical player. They can allow him not be so penient. I don't know if it's good that word in terms of defense. And I think it's the best position.
And then the second question is, do you think based on his performances, he could step up and play for Liverpool? Maybe not necessarily be a starter, but what we have seen is Ryan Gravenberch has played a lot of minutes. So maybe even sort of covering for him instead of, Wataru Endo, who is being the backup to Gravenberch this season. And, it doesn't feel like Slot completely trusts Endo. He doesn't get as much game time. Maybe like what you mentioned, I think where Endo falls short perhaps is his sort of ball playing abilities. Bajcetic has that. So it seems like from what you described, he is the ideal fit for the Slot system, for the Slot style. But the question mark is he ready?
I think that he's ready, but in that question, I have like two ways. No, the way of Liverpool, I think they have to take him back to be a part of squad, play a lot of games and trainings in the preseason. See how the left mountain, his performers are, and then make a decision. I think in the way of Liverpool, the best that they can do is take him back and that he plays games, and including have them as a backup player for Gravenberch, including for McAllister, including as a centre back. And in the other way, that is the way because I love the young players, the young developments, and we have to be patient. I think that there are some people that this years is so tough because you see players like Lamine Yamal, you see players like Kouassi, including like Stefan, who he was 18 years old, and you say, wow, this guy with 70 years old is probably one of the 10 best players in his position, and he has to play everything. No, we have to stay calm. He has only 20, 21 years old. And in my opinion, I think that the best option for him is be another year as a loan, but in a high quality team, not in a team that wouldn't fight for relegation, but in a team, for example, that played, I don't know, Conference League, Europa League, that he has going to be a lot of minutes, and he has the possibility to be a starting. For example, I always think about Celta because he is from Vigo, and we are fighting for the Europa League that is going to be fit well. But in Spain, I don't know, Mallorca and Serie A play like, I know, Fiorentina or something else. No, in terms of team, that is a high, medium quality level in the league that they can finish between the 7th and the 12th position. I think, in my opinion, in terms of development for him, is the best option. But
Well,
he is ready for Liverpool. I think that yes, he's ready for Liverpool. As a starting, I don't know, and I think that yet, no.
fair enough. I think that's kind of how I see it as well. And like you mentioned, I think it just depends on whether Liverpool want to get rid of Otero Endo, maybe, because if Otero Endo leaves, then that opens up a space for Bajcetic to get more minutes. However, I like what you said about Celta Vigo. I think that's a good shout. That is the club of his father's. He's come through the academy there. His father played there. Um, it just feels like a good next step for him to continue his development. I think, yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer for him. And one thing that I think I have to ask you, because a lot of people on social media, I did a post about him, which garnered a lot of attention. About his statistics this season in La Liga. Basically, the post was he has the most successful defensive actions out of any midfielder in La Liga and the most interceptions as well. And a lot of people commented under that. First of all, maybe I should have provided a little bit more context. Like you mentioned, Las Palmas are fighting for relegation and they are going to be defending with their lives most of the time. So that's why his defensive numbers are so high. His sample size isn't the biggest as well. He's only played over 600 minutes. However, I think what sort of people pointed out underneath the post the most is that he only has a 72% pass completion. I wanted to ask you about that because you said he was a very comfortable player on the ball. And I think that 72% pass completion, just like my post needed a bit of context in terms of the defensive ability, needs context as well, because the reason why it's only 72% is because he's not playing in a great team, isn't it?
No, for example, I always put this example. Probably not gonna be sound pretty well in English, but when we're talking about the statistics, it's like you have a plate, I don't know, a hamburger, and you see it and you say, "Oh, this pretty nice, this pretty nice," and this is not like the statistics, no. But you eat it, and it's gonna be better or it's gonna be worse, and that happened with a lot of players. you eat it and you say, "Oh, this doesn't have good luck," but you eat it and it's amazing. It's amazing. Or I don't like it. And it happened with the statistics and football. You have to see it. Obviously, 72% of passes for a center midfielder. It seems like not going to be good, but you have to see these passes. I remember, for example, it's not to compare, but Sergio Busquets has, I don't know, 95, 96%, but he almost his almost passes are 2 meters, 3 meters to the center back, to the
The,
Xavi, to Iniesta.
exactly.
It's different, no? And obviously he has, I don't know, 130 passes per match. Probably Stefan has 30, 30 per match. He has not more. And he trying for example, I have the luck that I watch his game in Vigo live, and he risked with the ball. He's young and he wants to risk with the ball. He has to trying to finding a player not only in 2 minutes, in 5, 10, 15 minutes, and He's risking a lot with the ball. It's nice. In my opinion, like football is, yes, I want a center midfielder that want to risk with the pass. Like I want a left winger that risk with the dribbling. I want it. I prefer a guy that has 30% of the passes, but all these 30% of passes is to make damage to the rival than not 90% that is only 2 meters, 3 meters. No, and that's it. And for example, in the defensive percentage, obviously it's a team that receive a lot of attacks. I think they are not good as a defender team. And they have a coach that is good in these terms, because Diego Martinez was remembered for his Granada that goes to the Europa League and play against, I remember, Manchester United. And they are play a team that play a good defense, but in Las Palmas they don't have players to play in that way. I think it's a mistake having him as a coach, but it's my opinion, obviously. But obviously he has a lot of attacks in game from the rival, and he has one good thing in that terms of defense, that he's so smart, because there are so many steals. I don't know if it's say steals in like basketball in
Yeah,
in
yeah,
English football, but and interceptions and more
yeah.
that is for the brain, for be smart, for be great in your localization in the pitch. And that is probably the 60%, 70% of his good defense action are for his quality, for his brain, for being intelligent in the pitch.
Yeah, and I think that's what I mentioned at the start of the video. When I watched him the first time live, you really see his reading of the game. Like he scans really well. He's just so good at the ball ending up with his by his foot like all the time. And I think that's a talent you can't really teach.
Yeah, no, it's so difficult. It's like the talent is earned by anyone when you born. I think so. It's like happened with a lot of players. We see for disgraceful, we see a lot of not so much talent as we used to be seeing in football, but when you have the taste, no? You watch a player, you have the taste that he is so great with his quality, and his brain works faster than the others. And I love, for example, the players that play like that play more with the brain, with his intelligence, more than with his legs. And for example, Stefan, I think is a player that works better in terms of intelligence than terms in physics. For that reason, I will love and I will be always in my life a defender of Stefan Bajcetic, and for his time in Liverpool, that I think he has gonna some great moments at Liverpool.
Well, I'm surprised you said that there's not that much talent in football coming from Spain, who have right now Lamine Yamal and all
Yeah,
these other really exciting prospects, even Dean Huijsen, who has just decided to represent the Spanish national team. And this brings me to another question of mine, because you do have a lot of young players, an exciting generation, really, a really exciting generation. You've already won the Euros. I think you will have a good chance to win the World Cup. And I wanted to sort of ask, because Bajcetic is obviously playing in the under-21 national team. He has been a regular there now for a few years. I wanted to ask, what is the perception of Bajcetic in Spain? What does the media say about his potential? Where do they see him ending up? Do they see him as a future player for the senior national team?
Well, here in Spain, we have a problem with players in. It seems like if a player left Spain, it's like overseas. It's like he's playing in America at 4 a.m. and we don't watch any single game. It's happened with some people. It's a problem that we have. For example, I tried to watch a lot of games. I probably see more international football games than Spanish football games that I see a lot, obviously. I'm a kind of freaky, that we say in that terms. And obviously, talking about first senior international team call up for Stefan, I think the World Cup is going to be impossible. It's impossible. 1% chance. He has to develop in a
I mean, a lot can happen in 12 months. You never know. Know.
Yeah, obviously, but in that position it's so hard because you have Rodri. We have to see how Rodri back, but we have Subimendi, Merino, Fabian, Pedri, Gavi. You have a bunch of players that is talented. Is what I say before. I think that Spain won the Euros because it's the most talented players, the most talented team. It seems like they play more with his brain than his legs, and is an amazing team. But in the future, they have the possibility. He has the possibility. Obviously, I think the World Cup is going to be so hard because the coach right now in Spain, Luis de la Fuente, there is how to say it. He don't likes to move a lot the team. No, he has a squad, and probably with 26 players, you move 2, 3 for the first call up, the second call up, the third call up, and you move in that way. No, 2 or 3 players that can in, that can out of the squad, and another 3 players. It's gonna be so hard, but obviously, like you say, we will see. Probably they have a chance at Stefan the next year, playing for Liverpool, playing for another team, make a breakout season, a real breakout season without injuries. And in that time, Luis de la Fuente has no clue to call up him to the first to the national team.
Well, listen, Diego, thank you very much for your time. That's all my questions for you. If you want the listeners to sort of find you or the watchers, where can they find you? Where should we look out for your articles and your tweets about the amazing Bajcetic?
Well, at that time, I have in my job, I work in the television in Spain. Cuatro is going to be so hard to watch, and I can't really speak a lot from Stefan because in the TV, they like to talk about Real Madrid, Barcelona. But well, in terms of Twitter, they can search me as Diego Otero. I don't know how 22, and I don't know how to say the bar that is
underscore.
Okay, Diego Otero 22 _, and they can find me about all my opinions about not only Spanish teams, obviously like teams like Liverpool, like every single football that you can imagine. I love in this terms of international football. I want to be informated, and I try. I'm young, but I try to informate about some kinds of transfers, renewals, contracts. So everything they want, I think they can find in my Twitter if they want.
Well, I'm going to make people's lives easier, and we're going to include the link to your Twitter on the video below in the description below. So do check that out and do click that and do check out Diego's stuff. Diego, thanks again for your time, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Just a reminder, we're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all your other streaming devices. So make sure to check us out on there as well. And if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel.